everybody, welcome back. This is a twofer because we're going to go through there to the actual big build later, but let's start here. This is Sponge Town. This is where we would dry our sponges, and the whole idea was somebody challenged me to make a dirt house that looked good. So I thought we'd make a dirt house. It's all roofed and walled with dirt. There's a bunch of leaves and everything on it. The slabs are here to prevent mob spawns, so it doesn't exactly look like a dirt house, I'll give you that. With the glass and a little bit of sand around it and everything else, just a tiny bit of storage that has a random mess of random artifacts inside, as is tradition with me. And then Chief the cat. I think this was the second Chief the cat, actually, here to oversee it, because Chief is the one who challenged me to build a dirt house. But this is where we would dry all of our sponges when we were doing all of the drains for the Nether Monument. This is perfect. This is when I love this build the most, is right around sunset, because the sun nestles just perfectly inside of that spot right there, and you just get this amazing god ray and glow effect out of the front of the base, which is just wonderful. I love it so much. This is the build that I think everyone knows my hardcore world for. This is a 200 circumference circle. It's 102 blocks from the monument in every direction, where we rebuilt every nether biome here in the overworld. We have the nether wastes right here in the front. We have a soul sand valley that is actually a valley. We have a warp forest, a crimson forest, the basalt deltas, and then another nether wastes back here that leads up to this one little island that interfered with the circle, but I kind of wanted to keep it to be able to do something fun that we just never did. But we also needed to plant a ton of nether wart for all of the red nether brick to make this work. So we'll start here. The nether wastes is relatively simple. It's just I added a bunch of details that I wish we would get, or at least you see in kind of more modded interpretations of the nether, where there's just a little bit more block variety, seeing some basalt popping up through the lava at different places, some obsidian, which I rationalized as interfering with the condensation of the walls and the space. So I probably should have done more of that, to be honest. But the boulders having small little patches of soul soil and nether warts, and the warped, what is this? It's not hyphae, it's nylium is the word that I was looking for. My brain is scuffed. And all of these lava rivers, completely placed one bucket at a time. That was such an intensive project. We had a huge dripstone farm that we were using to farm lava once we upgraded to 1.17. But in 1.16, which is when we started this, we had to go to the nether, fill up a shulker full of buckets, and then come back, and it was just very time consuming. Speaking of time consuming, this basalt deltas, oh my goodness. Now I love how they came out in the end of it, but my god, did this take like 5 or 6 tries to really feel like we got it right. Basalt deltas are very messy in the nether, and I wanted this to feel like it was a hill or a mountain or something like that, so having it have a gradual slope and incline, it worked kind of nicely at the end of the day. But getting that sorted, you can see over here where I kind of didn't have a good idea of what I was doing, and then as we progressed, really nailing it down and locking it down and understanding how to build out a basalt delta, which I'm very happy with. That, well, visit that when you get the world yourself. And then there's this ravine right here, which we'll go to spectator mode. I just blocked off, and then it goes to water immediately underneath. I didn't drain it all the way down. It's just glass right here. But this ravine is the break between the basalt deltas and the crimson forest biome and the waste side on this side. All of these are actually really easy to grow. This is all just bone meal. This is vanilla tree generation. And I think that actually worked. That made it feel much more like the original nether. And then right here is actually a cave that goes outside of where the circle is. That I didn't do anything with, but we could have. We could have done something with. But I like how it just kind of transitions back to the overworld. The mountain itself is just coated with all of the nether blocks, having all of the all of the nether wart up here for all of the red nether brick like you see on the back there. That took just an immense amount of effort. All of the wart right here, I didn't do as much of the wart as other biomes just because the blue felt very off. But we do have the floating islands up here, which I don't know, that really stuck with me, and I made that be warped as well to kind of offset and separate all of the blue, so we kept a very kind of red warm color palette for the general project, so that it all worked out very nicely. We have these beacon like shapes. Ooh, ominous. But we have these beacon like shapes. The idea is they are containing the overall progression and corruption of the world into the nether, which is why you see several of them all placed around the outside radius, and they're holding the circle is the gist of it. And then in here, that's right, how could we forget, we have Captain Fish. Captain salutes. Captain Fish overseeing the build. This is the only water inside of the whole space except for what's inside the monument itself. So this is a block for block replacement plus those lava chutes on the front. And then when you go inside, you have to turn shaders off for the actual interior bit. We have a very passive, very scuffed, not Enderman farm, Guardian. We have a very passive and very scuffed Guardian farm. This whole space was not spawn proofed or anything else along those lines. So while it works, if you kind of float up in the space up there, it's not perfect. And it didn't really generate the resources we needed at the pace we needed, but it kind of worked. We have two beacons up on the front there that go through the crystals, the stained glass, I mean, to get our two black beams on the front of it. And then if you go underneath, because we did do underneath as well, this went down to what was bedrock at the time, just digging through all of the caves and draining all of that through, and having just a little bit of a space underneath here so that it really felt like it was a pit down to the nether itself. And then there's diamonds there because I felt like putting them there. I've never actually checked underneath, and of course there's a massive lush cave system directly underneath. That's actually kind of beautifully perfect. This is wonderful. I love the lush caves, I really do. But having that be underneath kind of fits the contradictions that is this overall build really, really nicely. But I love how even without shaders, the build kind of holds up. It definitely does feel like the nether fully properly transported here to the overworld, which I'm very happy with. It landed very, very nicely. The upper part right here was my bedroom that we would sleep in occasionally. Quick little drop down to the materials there. And then on the back here, this is my first armor. This is the very first set of armor that I wore in the world when I still would put glass protection on my pants. We'll prevent that from being duped. And we retired this armor at 1,000 days. Flying back to our home base to make basic diamond armor at the time, this was nerve-wracking, kind of, but it felt really nice. The transition from from 3 digits to 4, and hitting 1K days just a few weeks before going full time as a content creator was really fun. We also have this creature up here with the 3 eyes. I wish you could lava log stairs, because having this be glowing with lava would be so cool, but we'll just let that go for right now. The reason why we chose this build site, despite it being very, very far away from everything else that we've constructed, which I'm very glad that we're doing builds closer together in Series 3, is that there's 4 more ocean monuments. One there, and there, that surround this one in a kind of cross pattern, with this being the nexus of all 5, which is why we chose this as the site for probably what was at the time our biggest build we've ever done. But this is the build that I think everybody knows the most out of everything that I built in the original hardcore world. Maybe some later people who join after this one was fully finished and we wouldn't visit it often don't think of this, they think of the Bay of Stars. But for me, this was the build of Series 2, and I'm really happy with it, and I can't wait to do and complete our monument build in Series 3, which goes in a very different direction. So it just proves that you can always do new and different things in Minecraft. So there you go, everybody. If you enjoyed this video, if you want to play on Download This World, link is in the comments. If you can't get it on that day, just go back and try again tomorrow. Google Drive is rate limiting people. But I hope you enjoyed the tour of the Series 2 world. There's all sorts of other secrets and things to discover. Can you tell that this is the last of these videos that I'm recording? But take care of yourselves. Be good to each other.